Hi, I'm Chad. In the fall of 2020, I bought this boat, a Columbia 10.7 called Samantas, for $750. We motored her south to her new home at Chipman Point Marina on Lake Champlain. She is now undergoing a complete refit in preparation to begin sailing the world.
Good morning, guys. We are back. It is about time. I've been working on that little McGregor 21 for way too long, trying to get it ready to sail this year. I got one more video that's coming out. I'm editing right now, and we are back on Samantas. So, when we left off this series close to 6 weeks ago now, we just finished tearing apart the captain's quarter berth and remove the headliner. That was the last of what we did here. And today, I'm going to remove this glass. This here is the jib sheet traveler. These bolts going through. So I got to remove those. And then I'm going to cut all the way around this with my multi-tool. And I'm probably going to do this in a few pieces. But my goal is to be able to save this glass, clean it up, sand it, and replace this plywood. My thought is, this might be the best way to do it. Hanging glass upside down, while it can be done, isn't a lot of fun. You lay up the epoxy, wait for it to cure a little bit and get real good and tacky. Then the glass, it'll stick and it'll hang there inverted while you add the epoxy and resin to the fabric to wet it out. What I'm going to try to do is the opposite. I'm going to try to remove this glass, keep it intact, use it as my template for the plywood that goes above it. And I'm going to do the whole thing upside down. I'm going to lay the glass down, clean it up, and I'm going to bond my plywood to the glass from the underside. And then I'm going to take that whole piece with the bonded glass, lay up more epoxy, clean up the deck fiberglass on top, clean it up and sand it, wet that out, and wet out the plywood, push it up in and bond it in place, let it form to the cabin top. It should do the trick. And I should be saving any profile that's in this glass, because it's going to naturally want to bend that way, so that it should join nicely with the top. So that's the plan. Goal for today is to get this taken apart. I'll start by pulling these bolts and get the jib sheet traveler removed, and then cut this fiberglass out and separate the plywood from the glass. Rather than replacing all that stuff on top, cutting it through from the top, replacing the plywood, putting it back in place, I'm going to try to do it from the inside. I've already taken it apart. The pros, I'm going to save my holes on the deck with the jib traveler bolts through, and when I wet it out with epoxy, stick it up in there, it's going to seal all those leaks. They're currently there, but I'll have those reference marks on top to reestablish my deck hardware. And then I do have a little bit, some cracks and things to replace on top and repair. I'm going to do that afterward. So let's see how this goes. I don't know if this is a common process. I kind of thought this up. I did get some pointers from a few people that have watched my channel, and they suggested, holding it up like that. But let's see how this goes. Alright guys, we've got a little noise in the background. I got the generator going, but I want to show you what I did so far. So what you're looking at there, this unit, is the jib sheet traveler. We've got it all disconnected and removed. Right at this minute, I'm getting ready to pull the chain plates. I unscrewed the bezel that sits over the top on the deck. So these guys should now, I think, just fall right out. Let's see what happens here. There you go. Chain plate. So I got two more to remove. I might need to disconnect this water line. This is the filler tube for the water tank, one of the water tanks. The only other thing I'm not entirely sure about is one behind here you probably can't see. The post for the safety rail. I don't think those posts actually go through the plywood core, this stuff here that I'm trying to remove. Sorry if it's a little jumpy. There's a plywood core I'm trying to remove in there. I don't think those plates bolt through that, so it might be okay. I'm going to try to get into cutting this plywood next. That's why I have the generator running. I've got my multi-tool, power, and fresh blade. And I'm going to start working around the edge of this thing once I get these other two chain plates out. There you go. Okay. So I wanted you guys to see this. Here's the core. The deck core. 1/2-inch plywood. Very soggy and wet, but it's little squares. So I'll pull one or two more out so you can see what we got here. There's another one. Kind of interesting how this went together. But as I'm looking at it, I don't see myself putting this back together this way. I see myself using bigger pieces. That seems kind of, those little cubes seem, I mean, maybe there's a good reason. Somebody knows, let me know. But that seems like a bad idea. It seems like it ought to all be one continuous piece structurally for the coring material. I know it normally is vertical grade balsa, which wouldn't add a lot of real strength as well. So maybe it's not entirely necessary, but I wanted to see what was in there. What I put back is going to be a little different, I think, unless somebody tells me otherwise. Maybe there's a good reason that I don't know. If you guys know, I'd be happy to pass that information along to everyone else. Okay guys, I've cut it all the way around. I'm going to take it out in sections between bulkheads. I got this started. I want you to be able to see me pull this thing down. But here you see it's starting to hang down. That's our fiberglass right there. And as it comes down, you should see the layup. That's how badly bonded it was. I got one more little cut to make here, and then this will fall out. That should do it. Oh, by the way, don't do this without a mask. I've got one under my hat. I should have put it on. There. Okay. So there is the fiberglass. There's a little bit of repair right there. The glass is pretty much intact. But I'll do repair work. So I'm going to clean this up and I'm going to reuse this glass, I think. I don't see any reason to replace it. If I get it down to, well, there it is, and then sand it really good. And then I'm just going to put my plywood back on there. Fresh new plywood. This stuff over here. Got a couple pieces. There's a piece of it right there. That's going to end up going back up. And there's my deck. All record. This is we're looking at the top here. You can see it flexing. There's just not much left. That to me seems a lot easier than doing it from the top. And then I've got a couple spots like this right here that need to be patched. That hole right there and that one, those are where the chain plates went through. I'm moving my chain plates from here out to here. They're going to bolt through this wall and then they're going to tie back in and they're going to go through the bulkhead. I think it's going to be a lot stronger. And it's going to take the load off the deck and we're not going to have this leaking problem anymore. It'll be much nicer up top. You'll be able to walk underneath there. You won't have the chain plates and rigging, standing rigging right in your way. A lot of good reasons to move it. I'm leaning toward grade 5 titanium to replace these with. I don't know if I can bolt it to the hull just like this and bend that top piece in just a touch. We're only moving a foot. Be pulling sideways on this thing like this, and originally it was pulling this way on the rig, but I don't think that's going to be a lot of sideways pull. It's mostly up. So that's the plan. Get rid of these aluminum chain plates, which seem like they've held up okay, and replace them with grade 5 titanium. Well, I'm going to get back at this. I'll show you the progress I make taking this all apart. So that's coming out. That piece is coming out. Piece up front, underneath, going into the V-berth is coming out. And hopefully in the next couple weeks this will start going back together. And then good morning, guys. It's Saturday. Yesterday, Friday, I was here and I started taking this all apart behind me. The decks from underneath. I'm going to continue today. Here's a couple pieces of the glass removed. I've got another piece outside of the deck. But so that's where I'm at. This is coming apart pretty good, but it's time consuming. So I'm just getting underneath these with a screwdriver or a chisel and peeling these off, cleaning this glass up. So it's early, it's quiet. I'm not going to make noise for a while here. There may still be people sleeping. But as of right now, this is right across from the main chain plate bulkhead. That's where I've gotten to. And give you a look at this stuff up underneath. It's kind of interesting. So currently what I'm doing is slowly peeling all this stuff down and removing it. And I removed all of it, all the way back through above this nav station bulkhead, all the way back into the captain's quarter berth. This layup here is kind of interesting. That's all glass. That is where the post mounts. I do have to clean a little bit more out. Initially I thought maybe this layer of plywood went underneath there. It's marine plywood, but it doesn't. So that's good. I might not need to take apart this one and the ones further up now that I know how it works. I am going to have to remove this water line from the tank. I already freed it on top, as you can see. So all I got to do is pull it out of there. And I'm probably going to have to get in here and cut the tabbing on the top of that last bulkhead. But this is still wet up in here, and see, it pulls right down kind of easily here. I'm gonna have all brand new decks on this boat, so that's pretty awesome. Good for another 40 years. This is above the chart table, nav station. And then a little bit of plywood going back in the deck over the captain's quarter berth. You know, I was looking at this before I started cutting the glass out, and I thought it was weird. All these steps in the glass. And now I see why. They just laid these blocks down, and wherever they ended. Creating all these weird steps, and rather than cutting a nice profile and popping it in there. So that's kind of interesting. So that's that. I'm going to be replacing this pretty soon here. So for today's project, I'm going to continue and finish that front and get everything cleaned up. Look at this pile down here. This is all the little squares of, I assume marine plywood that came out of there. They're all wet, but nothing was really rotten. Kind of interesting. Alright, let me get back at it. I'll check in with you in a few minutes. Well, I successfully managed to eliminate all the rotten wood in the deck on the starboard side over the course of the weekend. So let me take you for a quick walk around the inside here and show you what it looks like. And then So first of all, I had to do a little bit of reorganizing. So I started in this back corner and I removed the deck all the way back, all the deck core material. And then I reorganized. I pulled all the stuff out of the V-berth up here and organized it as best I could and relocated it back there in the captain's quarter berth. Now, there's two reasons why I did that. I was working this edge of the deck and it's pretty cleaned up. There's still some pieces that need to come out of there. But I'm also going to be starting to spend the night over here so I can get more done. So with this all opened up, I'll bring my broom, I'll clean everything up real good, and I can bring my V-berth mattresses back over, the cushions. They weren't terrible. Might be able to get away with cleaning them up and not recovering them. So I'm going to bring them back, and that'll give me a place to sleep over here while I work on the boat. There is a leak somewhere. I'm not sure if it's the hatch itself. I think it probably would have to be. Maybe between the plexi and the frame. There's a gasket underneath here. Doesn't think that would leak. And you can see where that screw is. There's a hole there. I plugged that with a little bit more of that tape. So we'll see. Started to rain today. Maybe I'll be able to locate that problem. So we flip you around here. Now coming into the V-berth, I was working my way this direction, and when I got into this area here, the stuff started to get nice and dry. So I got out of the water, got out of the moisture, out of the leaking issues. So I continued a little further, and this is bone dry back here. So that's awesome. I will clean that out and square that corner up, I think, and I'm going to replace all that plywood. So there's a few more pieces that get knocked out, and then I got to bring a 5-way and a scraper and clean all that up. Next time I get back here, I'll bring a sander and I'm going to sand that whole thing with 80 grit all the way along, and that'll make the epoxy bond really well. The lower glass that I took off is in the car right now, this fiberglass, and I'm going to bring that back with me. I'm going to find some CDX plywood with waterproof glue, exterior plywood, bond that plywood to this material, and then I'm going to bring all the pieces back and bond those to the deck from the underside. There's a joint on top of the bulkheads, so there's a joint here, and you can see the tabbing coming up the wall. I don't think I used that one. I think I took this in one piece all the way to this joint. So I try to make my joints fall in line with my bulkheads, so the material will go up, it'll get taped, and then the tabbing will also cover that joint, connect all the dots. So yeah, it's really we're getting there. This has been fun. It's a lot of work, but it's been fun. So get this done, get the cabin top sides in, and then the port lights can go back in. And what I'm shooting for, and then I'll change these port lights back here. I've got new ones. What I'm shooting for is watertight on the top. Deck fittings, hardware, all that stuff. And anywhere there is something like this here, this is the hole where the water filler tube and hose came out. I'm going to have a glass all the way around that, a couple inches all the way around. So there'll be no opportunity, hopefully, for the water to get back into the core material. And chain plates, these are taped up. So is this hole. Chain plates are going away. They're going on the deck, or I'm sorry, on the side of the hull. So those will be getting covered up and going away. There's another one. So I should be in good shape as far as preventing this from having any future leaks. There's a ring around this, glass all the way around the port lights, and those port lights up there. This you can see these little holes. That's the Genoa track where it's bolted to the deck. Same thing, I'm going to add a 2-inch strip of tape all the way along that joint. So that's going to stop it from having any leak issues there as well. I want to thank those that have subscribed to my channel, or like, share, and comment on my videos. If you're new to my channel, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. It helps me to gain traction here on YouTube.